Hello and welcome to a lesson on arranging for brass quartet. I'm Peter Melinder, and today we're going to go through some strategies on how to translate specifically a string ensemble to a brass quartet. So here's the excerpt we're working with today. It is an excerpt from Grieg's Piano Concerto, the second movement. And I have the brass quartet on top here and the string ensemble down below. Once we're done, we'll just get rid of the string ensemble parts. But a few challenges that we'll have to face here is the ranges of brass instruments are going to be different than those of strings. And also, we have 5 independent string parts, where we only have 4 independent brass parts. Now, I'm not a brass player, so I'm going to try to play it safe. So we're going to be very conservative with how we write these parts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the first violin part in its entirety and put it in the first trumpet. And you know what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to transpose the entire piece to F major from D flat major. Now some of this is going to go really high and we'll have to address that. Now we're not going for an exact, we can't, we only have 4 parts and there are 5 in the original. So we're just trying to give the same impression, the same mood. And we're going to try to get it as close to the string ensemble as possible using brass instruments. Now this goes a little high, so again I want it to be more humble with our parts here and not try anything crazy. So I'm going to move this down. I'm going to take the contrabass melody and I'm going to put it in the tuba just to block it out as well. Some of the tuba might need rewriting as well. It does go a little low, but we'll address that later. Now taking a look at the cellos here in the original part, there is some doubling here with the contrabass part. And because of that, I'm going to use that as an excuse to take over one of these other parts, because we have 5 parts that we're trying to arrange for 4 parts, and we just have to be a little wise doing things like this so that we make it harmonically rich. But the first 2 measures here, the cellos, are not doubled, so I'm going to take those and put it in the trombone. The next measure are doubled, but the next 2 after that are not. So now I have I have 2 measures here that I can use to trade off with other instruments if needed. Here we have some more sections that are not doubled. So I'm going to take this. Now, this might not work in the trombone here. It does get a little high. I'm going to take these last 2 measures here that I had in the trombone and move them up to the trumpet. See, it fits a lot better in the trumpet's range. And instead, I'm going to take the viola from the original part and put it in the trombones. There, that looks nice. And for these parts where I have missing measures because it was doubled, I'm going to have the trombone take on the viola's role for those sections. And moving it down an octave to fit a little better. Doing that, I noticed that we have a third here between F and A. That's just going to sound really thick down there that low, so I'm going to move the A up. And for these 2 measures as well, take on the viola's role on the trombone. Moving it down as an octave as needed, and readjusting the harmony as needed. Okay, so I think we have everything just about filled out except for the trumpet here. So I'm just going to take the second violin, which we haven't really touched, put it in the... yeah, we do have a trade-off I forgot about, so I'm going to put half of the violin there. And after that, put the rest of the second violin in the second trumpet. You'll need to go through and make sure that everything looks comfortable within the instrument's ranges. This is a little low, so I'm going to move that up an octave. That still works. I'm going to move that up as well. Okay, now I'm going to go through and add some slurs to suggest breathing or phrasing. And you really want to think more, as a composer, you want to think of slurs more as phrasing than breathing, because A brass player is just going to know their breath a lot more than you will as a composer. So I'm thinking about phrasing here. Okay, I noticed something here about the second trumpet just now, and that is the melody goes beneath the second trumpet because I moved this down an octave. So to address that, I'm going to have to move some of this down a little bit. The B is fine, but it's the D I need to move down. So there's the simple fix. And you know, for this measure as well, I think I'm going to swap, because I see the first two trumpets are doubled here, so I'm going to put this actually in the trombone, but an octave lower in the trombone part and the trumpet part. So just swap them around. Yeah, that looks a lot better. Since I moved that down, I'm going to have to readjust the preceding measure a little bit. Move the G down so that so we're coming at it from the F sharp there. We already have the B in the first trumpet, so it's not that big of a deal to alter the harmony there. Okay, now that I've added some slurs, I don't think I'm going to worry about dynamics. We'll just see how it plays out first. So I'm going to remove all the strings. So there, now we have our brass quartet arrangement. Now before I play it and see what it sounds like, I encourage you to like this video and subscribe if you found it helpful. I upload all kinds of videos on my channel, lots of lessons like these as well. So please consider subscribing, and so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. But let's go ahead and give this a listen and see what Grieg sounds like in a brass quartet. There, sounds pretty nice. There were just a couple of things I noticed when listening to it, and that for the start of each one of these chords here, we don't have a chordal third, so it sounds, we just have roots and fifths, so it sounds kind of empty until we have these pitches come in halfway through the measure. To fix that, I just go back and maybe add a chordal third to these first. So this is an F chord, I'd probably add an A somewhere, maybe in the trombone here. Another thing that I didn't notice earlier was that the second trumpet kind of overtakes the first trumpet here. It goes higher, so we kind of hear this more than the melody, probably because I moved something down an octave when arranging it. That's not that big of a deal though. You could either move down this material here, maybe in the trombones, or down an octave in the trumpets, and Or you could also just push the first trumpet here with dynamics. And another thing is that the tuba drops out here towards the end. That's the way it was in the original string ensemble composition. But here with the brass quartet, having the tuba drop out just makes it really empty sounding. So I would probably go in and add the tuba up in the staff a little bit, high on the bass clef, because we still want this dramatic moment here where we go down to the G. But that's all, just some tips on arranging for a brass quartet from a string ensemble. Also, be sure if you're doing this to verify in written pitch to make sure everything looks appropriate there as well, not solely work in concert pitch. So we've talked about how to translate 5-part harmony to 4 parts, how to use doubling in the original part to provide variety in the reduced part. Since some pitches were doubled, I just went without them and used them as an opportunity to add to the harmony with our more limited ensemble compared to the original. We've talked about how to change things in octaves, modify the harmony in very slight ways to make things more idiomatic for this new arrangement. But that's all I've got today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lesson.